Today we're joined by members of the Columbia Basin Dive Rescue, a team of volunteers, trainers, and support personnel who serve our region during some of its most difficult moments. This conversation is about teamwork, dedication, and the people who answer the call when others need help most. Welcome to The Bridge, where we have conversations that connect our community to our local nonprofits. Today's conversation shines a light on a group most of us hope we never need, but are incredibly grateful that they exist. The Columbia Basin Dive Rescue serves our region through some of life's most difficult moments, working beneath the surface in conditions few of us could imagine. Joining me today are two people who help make that mission possible. First, I'd like to introduce you to Caleb Farmer. Caleb has served with Columbia Basin Dive Rescue for 8 years. He is currently serving as the duty officer and the team's training officer. Caleb and his wife Laura live in Pasco with their 3 children. They moved to Tri-Cities in 2017 from Wisconsin, when Caleb accepted a position on staff at Temple Baptist Church in Richland. He currently works full-time at the church as an assistant pastor. Caleb also volunteers as the chaplain for the Franklin County Sheriff's Office with the Chaplain Services Network, assisting local fire agencies. Our second guest today is Mark Morton. A resident of Tri-Cities for over 30 years, Mark and his wife Jenny currently live in West Richland. They have 2 sons and 2 grandchildren. Mark's son Phil also serves on the team, which we'll talk about later. Mark is a retired consulting engineer. He currently enjoys spending time skiing, woodworking, working in the yard, and volunteering. Outside of the team, Mark is also heavily involved in his church. Mark Morton has provided an invaluable service to the team as the maintenance officer since joining the team in 2019. He is regularly working on projects around the station as well as performing regular preventative maintenance on the trucks. His willingness to volunteer where needed highlights the opportunity for anyone to serve on the team, and Mark would say he's the man behind the scenes for the people behind the scenes. But let's start with Caleb. Can you share with us, first of all, Caleb, thanks. Thanks so much for having us today.
Sure.
Can you share with us how Columbia Basin Dive Rescue got started in our area, what's its history, what's its focus, and anything you'd like to introduce us to?
Yeah, Columbia Basin Dive Rescue started in 1972. It was really just a group of sport divers in response to a large number of drownings that takes place in our area. With the increase of population at that time that they were seeing to the area with Hanford and everything else, there's a lot more people. And one of the main, if not only things to do around here is water-related activities. And so they were seeing a lot of drownings and a lot of scenarios where divers were needed, but there was no agency that was doing that. And so in 1972, they formed as, at that time, Lower Columbia Basin Search and Rescue. Mm. And they were focused mainly on recovery. So when there was a drowning, being able to go out and attempt their best to recover the individual that had drowned. But over the course of the next 10 years or so, some studies came out about what was at that time known as cold water near drowning. There's been some different labels put to that now. But they realized that the water temperatures around here were low enough that there were scenarios where even after someone has gone under the surface, that there was still a potential to rescue that individual and resuscitate them. And so they really started to transition into more of a rescue-based while also being able to perform recoveries. Went through a lot of additional training and got qualified to be able to respond in an emergency way to scenes instead of it being planned out a long ways ahead of time. And it really broadened what they were able to do and the services to provide to the community. So that was in about the early 80s, and that was when the name shifted to Columbia Basin Search and Rescue. So the way that it evolved over time into where we are today still provide the ability to do recoveries, and diving is our main, it's our bread and butter, but the rescue potential as well is what kind of makes us as a team unique. A lot of dive teams around the country primarily are focused on recovery for various reasons, but our team is able to provide the potential. All the scenarios have to work together really, really well for this to actually happen, to actually do a rescue of someone who has gone under the surface. We also provide the ability to assist local fire and law enforcement agencies in rescues of individuals that are above the surface, that are maybe had a boat accident, that have had some type of issue where they're stranded and stuck on shore and can't get somewhere. And so if we need to go out and help them, we do that as well. That's something that is a little bit off to the side of the diving, but we are fully qualified to be able to do that as well.
Evidence as well.
Yeah, yes, and we also do a lot of evidence recoveries for law enforcement agencies, various different items that they need help finding. It could be in a canal, it could be in the river, If it could be somewhere from an outside agency, they're needed to recover an item for a case that they're building, we perform those functions as well.
Random curious question now about that. Have you ever gone to court to testify how you got those items as well? Like, it really is integral parts of cases.
Yes.
Wow.
Several of our divers have had that happen in the past before. I don't know how many have actually gone to there, but they have been called to do so.
But that's what you mean. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, depositions have absolutely taken place.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's awesome.
Yep.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, and one other thing that Caleb didn't mention was
That's right, Mark.
people-
You fill in the blanks.
people drive into canals occasionally.
Yes.
And those are, a Saturday morning call to say, can you help us get a pickup truck out of the
Yep.
canal?
Oh,
These guys will go down, put floats in the vehicle, and then the tow truck will pull them out. That's with law enforcement,
Yep.
and many times it's an empty vehicle, but sometimes it's not. There's
Right.
a body in it. So
Right.
so that's part of it too. And the evidence and a lot of the vehicle recoveries are planned things. When can you have a diver and two trucks and the people here to look for this piece of evidence versus a rescue recovery? Go now. Who's available?
Right.
And so there's a wide range of needs, I guess.
And what I'm hearing is you guys work in harmony with first responders in the area, a number of them.
Yes. Yeah, and so we're directly contracted with the counties that we're in here, so specifically Benton and Franklin County, also Walla Walla and Yakima. But we are a state agency, meaning that we can go anywhere in the state. We're one of the only dive teams in eastern Washington. There's several over on the west side, but primarily we're the only one in the eastern side, one up in Spokane as well. But we're the only fully volunteer agency. So most of the other ones, all the other ones in the state are directly connected to either law enforcement or a fire department. So what we do is that we have contracts with our local agencies, the counties, the sheriff's office, county fire departments, all of our local cities here in the Tri-Cities. They pay an annual fee for our services, and so that any time that there's a mission, no matter how many times we go out, we're already under contract with them. Other places in the state, if we are requested by them to come and they're not contracted, then we just work out the fees. And we don't take payment. None of us on the team are paid for our services, but in order to meet the needs of the mission for gas and equipment and things like that. But we're just glad to be able to provide those services and be able to work with a lot of other amazing people and agencies in the state.
And then how does that logistically work? If there is a call that goes into 911, what is the process that it goes through to get to you guys?
Yeah, so if it's a local call, so say somewhere here in the Tri-Cities, if it's an emergency, we get toned out immediately with the other fire department and law enforcement agencies. And so if it is something that needs an immediate response, we respond here to our station. We deploy from there. We meet on scene with the other agencies that are typically already there. And we coordinate with command at that point to be able to see what exactly is needed. And that goes directly through if somebody makes a call to 911 to CCOM, to our local dispatch agency. And as soon as that goes out, then we're able to start formulating a plan of what to do. If it's somewhere else in the state, and it's especially if it's further than an hour away, we're going to be taking a little bit more time to plan out, as Mark mentioned, to see who's available. It's not going to be a rescue at that point. By the time we arrive there, depending on the drive distance, it would be a recovery. And typically, if it's somebody, an agency further away than that, they're not calling us immediately anyways. It's going to be after they've utilized all of their resources to be able to accomplish what they're trying to do. So we're able to take some time, and our goal is to get there as quick as possible, but because we're fully volunteer, most of us still work full-time jobs.
Sure.
And so we have to kind of coordinate those schedules. If it's an emergency, a lot of us will leave work if we need to, if there's an opportunity for that. But if it's something we can plan it out, we're able to work with our schedules a little bit more typically.
On the whole, do you feel that process works really well? The way you communicate all together, all of your agencies?
Yes.
It feels like it does to
it
me
does.
as you
I
talk,
think we
like
have
a well-oiled machine.
We do. We have some incredible agencies here in our area. This is not a strange thing to those of us that live here. As is a great group of individuals that love to serve in whatever, whether they're doing it full-time or volunteer.
Oh, I totally agree.
I'm super thankful for it. And something like the podcast that you're putting the highlight on, I'm thankful for those that volunteer in our community in so many different ways. And we get to interact with a lot of them, both on scenes and in community events, and we're always thankful for that. But yes, our different law enforcement and fire department agencies, we're proud to work alongside of them.
Well, and we have that relationship. Many of our primary, cities and county people are on the board of directors. So there's that relationship that some number of duty officers meets with the board every month, and you get that personal relationship too. So when Caleb goes out on a call, he may know the sheriff that's leading the operation there already. I mean, on a very good personal level.
Yeah, and I think that creates a unique setting because in a larger city departments, you especially go up on the west side for our state, speaking specifically, you may not know the people you're working with. We work and deal with the people in our area regularly, so we know them very well. And as Mark mentioned with our board of directors, because we're a fully volunteer agency, we have that board of directors, which gives us the information that we need to be able to go forward. They give us the permissions to be able to do trainings and accomplish everything that we need to do. That comes directly down to the team, and it's made up of a representative from each one of those agencies. And so we get to have that interface, at least somebody on the team on a monthly basis, to be able to keep touch with the things that are taking place.
I love hearing that because it tells us that the communication is clear and unified. You have relationships with each other. Just in my own little stay-at-home mom world, I'm resonating a lot with what you're saying, because whether you're serving in the school with a department helping there, or you're in your church community helping there, if you can all get these voices and perspectives around a table and just communicating with each other and coming in harmony with each other, that's a powerful thing. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's what you're saying, Mark. I want to make sure I'm not speaking for you.
That's right.
But that's a big deal.
You just make those connections, and then when the trauma comes, or when it's chaos at a scene, because chaos might be the wrong word, but there's a lot going on.
There's probably high emotion.
Yeah. And so you have that connection already, rather than walking up on somebody new that you've never met.
And you don't know if you trust them or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust is a big deal.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Caleb, one of your roles also is a trainer. Can you walk us through that? What would that mean? Like if I came off the street and said, "Hey, Caleb, I would love to join your group." By the way, I will not. I am not super interested in diving, but I'm excited to hear about it. Not my vibe.
That's one of the cool things, and we'll probably get to this later. But when people think of Columbia Basin Dive Rescue, they think of the diving, and that is what we primarily do. But the neat thing, we have individuals like Mark who serve so many different roles within the team, that if you are someone who doesn't like the dive, we still have a role for everybody to be able to fill. And obviously there's primarily we are looking for divers, because the quantity, we definitely want quality as well, but the quantity of divers is very useful for us, because if we don't have enough divers, per our policy, we have to have 2 divers to every dive call, because we don't have anybody dive alone. So if we don't have enough people,
like
depending
Boy
on
Scouts.
Exactly,
Awesome.
We want to make sure we have enough. So if we don't have enough divers available, we're not able to go as soon. Eventually we will. So we need to make sure we have at least that number. So we're always looking for divers. So.
But it's a progression too. You start out.
Yes, yeah. It starts. Everybody who comes in wants to join the team has to go through an interview process. We do background checks. We run through references. We are a very close-knit team, and there's also a very high level of responsibility. And there's a lot of different personality types that fit really well, and there's some that don't. And there's some life experiences that are really beneficial, and some that maybe are not. We are willing to sit down with anybody for the interview, and it's fairly rare that we turn someone away, at least initially. But sometimes if you become a parent, it's just not going to be a good fit. So we have to make sure we go through that process first. It is.
It's honest.
Exactly. But once you join the team and you come on as a trainee, it is, as we lay it out, it's a year-long process to go through the training that we have before you become rescue qualified, meaning you can go out on missions. And the goal with that year-long process, and it can be done in as little as 6 months. There's a few of us that have done it in 6 months or so. We don't like it much shorter than that because there's also the benefit of getting to know each other. And you can meet all of the qualifications on paper, but we like to be able to know each other to be able to work together as well, because we're literally putting our life in each other's hands. We as tenders on the shore are the lifeline for the diver that is out in the water, and there has to be that trust there. So there's not only the number of things that you have to accomplish and complete as a trainee, but amount of time to be able to get to know each other. So we have a list of qualifications that each person needs to go through. We have monthly trainings. We have a classroom and a practical, so at least 2 trainings per month, and there's usually several other opportunities of extra training where people will go out and say they're available to help train with somebody. But that each month it's a different focus. So here in May, our focus is boat operations. So we have a classroom, we have a practical time where we're going to be in the class learning the details of it, and then also a time out on the water training. We're going to have other months where we're going to be learning the sonar in a classroom, and then we're going to be out doing a practical. We're going to be doing swiftwater rescue where we have a class. So each month we have at least those 2 trainings, and then all the extra trainings that happen around that. And the goal with that 12-month calendar is that at the end of the 12 months, you have had the opportunity to train on everything. The nature of everyone being volunteer is sometimes you're not able to make every training, and we get that. We're all volunteers in the same page here. So those extra trainings
Totally
come in.
respect that.
Exactly.
Totally get that.
And so we work with people on that, and that's where, if it's been a year and they're way behind schedule, that's kind of where we need to have a conversation. Is this really a good fit? Is this going to work for both parties? But then you have other people who finish it in 7 months, and they've gone above and beyond, and they've met for extra training, and they're qualified and they're ready to go. So once you become surface
and they've been around enough, they've earned that trust.
Exactly, because we have to be able to see you and know you, and we want you to know us as well. Once you finish that, you go through a final qualification test, and then you are surface qualified. So you're rescue qualified. You can go out on missions. And then if you are a diver at that point, we've already started you doing some diving on the team, but that's not the primary focus. Once you get surface qualified, if you are a diver, then you'll go through the training process to be a diver. And so that is another technically about a year process, but again, it can be a little bit, it can be shorter or longer. That one, once you're with the team, it's not as big of a deal. If it takes a little bit longer, you're already providing a service to the team. But that's an extra level of requirements to then be qualified as an actual rescue diver.
And that's, if you come in as a certified scuba diver, this is all in addition to that.
Correct.
We do a rescue diver.
We do our own training.
You can think you know how to dive,
correct,
and you still need to go through this process.
We've had people come to us that have multiple different certifications in different arenas, whether in military or others. They have a lot of good qualifications.
I was totally thinking
military, and so they bring a lot of skills to the team, but we have a specific way that we dive. We're unique to a lot of other recreational diving and military in a lot of ways as well, because we use dry suits as opposed to wet suits because of hazmat concerns, and the temperatures that we deal with. And we also use a full face mask, whereas a lot of times it's open. So there's some unique things to our team that we have to go through training to get everybody up to speed on.
Is it okay if I ask, is there a specific personality or life experience that you have found does fit really well? Like if someone's listening to this conversation wondering if this is for me, is there a specific life experience or personality that you find is a great fit?
I think,
and maybe that's, you don't have to answer that either.
No, I think the cool thing about this, we're a little bit adjacent, I would say, to your typical first responder personality. A lot of law enforcement and fire departments, I get to work with them a lot in different areas, are much more that type A personality. And that's going to be your typical go-getter, very driven. Exactly, everything's quick.
Yeah.
And we definitely have a lot of that on our team. There's a good representation of that, but that is not necessary. And there's a good balance on our team. And the benefit that I found of that is you have those that are extremely driven, they're quick responding, but we also have those that are maybe a little bit calmer on the outside, but are very capable of still making those quick decisions. There is definitely the need to make those quick, mature, understanding decisions. You can't just sit back and panic on the side, but you don't have to be that over the top, extremely driven.
This is why I can't do it. This is why. No, I'm good. Anyway, continue.
I think that there's a really good mesh on our team of that. And I would say being driven is a necessity to be on the team. We have a very overall low frequency call volume. We make the news here regularly when there is a major scene, and that's maybe what people think of, if they think of us at all. But it's fairly low frequency. We average anywhere from 40 to sometimes 60. 2020 was an anomaly. We had a lot more actual call outs, and then you shrink down the number of those that actually don't get canceled en route for various reasons. That gets down to maybe like 20 per year. And then ones that are going to be longer missions, that's somewhere between 5 and 10 a year. Mm-hmm. So if you're someone that is very self-motivated and driven, you're going to do well with that because you don't need that high volume. But if you're someone that needs that external motivation all the time, it may be a little bit more of a difficult scenario for you.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
Train a lot more than they do.
Yes, right. Absolutely, for sure.
And actually, this is a great way to, Mark, bring you in a little bit, because the call volume, let's say it's 60, and then it whittles down to the heavier assignments you get called on, being that smaller number that you said, but you have to be prepared for every one.
Well, that's it, and especially as the weather. Clearly, our summer is busy season. The winter, the training gets more not laid back. I mean, we might do ice training. They go out in January and do ice training. Maybe
that sounds fun.
if there's enough ice.
Yeah.
But the equipment has to be ready for the high season too. So if we need tires on a truck, July is not the time to do it. We got to think about that in January. And those kinds of things. And, it was like 2 years ago, they were out on a July call and everything worked fine. They were at the scene. They got to the scene and the truck wouldn't start. And that was, Mark failed. Well, it was 105 out. The engine had been running for 35, 50 minutes, and it just boiled over and dried out the battery. Maybe you couldn't foresee that, but the battery was 3 or 4 years old, and maybe we should have seen it. So it's low volume but immediate response, and that's what's a little different than maybe maintaining some of your own equipment at home. Yeah. You don't care if my car doesn't start on a Tuesday morning to go to work. It's a irritation, but it's not life threatening.
Yep.
Right. And if I'm understanding what you were saying earlier. Because you have I messed up the word. Contracts. Thank you. Contracts with government entities. Funding comes for that for maintenance. You guys are volunteer. Do you find that funding is enough for the maintenance for your role? Or, money is one of those evil necessities. You need it. You need money.
Right. And I think we do well. Our board takes care of us very well in that regard.
That's awesome. Yeah. And we're back to the building relationships and how important that is.
And they're the interface with the city or the county group that they work for full time. So we have that awesome avenue to advocate for us.
I love it.
And so that I think it works out real well. And then there's I'm learning. I've been with the team for going on 7 years, and I'm learning that there's different pots of money too. We have our operating fund that comes from the counties. We have an endowment of some sort that paid for a building, and then
generous.
We have
the
state emergency. Like if Caleb goes out and he's on a mission and he tears a big hole in his dry suit, the state will replace that because it was on a mission.
Yep.
Oh.
And so there's different pots of money that can be drawn on, and I think we're very well equipped and financed in that regard.
How awesome to know, forgive the term, but how the game is played, right? Like you need to know all these little tidbits.
Right.
It's so helpful. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, operationally, we have very good funding, as Mark said, for everything that we need.
I'm so glad.
If there is a scenario, though, that comes up where we see maybe a new piece of equipment that falls outside of the scope of our normal equipment replacement scheduling, that is where we then come out to the community and request for some level of fundraising. The two biggest ones recently was our side scan sonar we did about 8 years ago, and then the boat that we did about 4 years ago. And what was really neat about that, I think, though we don't have that fund that we can just snap our fingers and be like, we're going to get this new equipment because it's something totally new. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think it is a really good opportunity to interface with the community, let them know that we have a need, and allow them to be a part of it. Because as we've already mentioned, sometimes people have no idea who we are, and if they have heard of us, they know very little about us. We like to be able to have those opportunities to be with the community, whether it's in a water education scenario or raising funds for equipment that could potentially help them one day or a loved one. And so both with the sonar and with the boat, it's been neat to be able to go out in the community and say, hey, we're raising funds for this purpose and you can be a part of that. And the overwhelming community involvement, both of those fundraisers specifically, we raised the funds in significantly less time than we were originally planning. Like we were looking at a multi-year time period, just trying to be honest about it. And both of them we raised very quickly, which is just a really neat opportunity to be able to connect with the community in a time that is not focused on a difficult scenario. It's providing that hope to the community. It just kind of comes full circle. It's a really neat thing to be able to do.
I love the way you worded that. That's awesome. Well, I get to serve with Just Serve right now, so I'm a big fan of any time we get to connect with the community. So everything you said just made me very happy. That's awesome. Well, so let's move on just for a second here. For most people, dive rescue is something we don't think about until it's needed, just like what you were just saying. So what types of situations are you called into? You've referenced a few already, and so that's fine. But are there any misconceptions about dive rescue that you would like to clear up, or anything you'd like to say in those areas?
Yeah, I would say it's hard with misconceptions because there's not a
lot
of conceptions.
Oh, awesome.
So there's not a lot of what to know.
What conceptions do you want us to have?
Exactly.
Yeah. When we see your awesome logo, what do you want us to think?
Okay, just
Mark,
as a point for your audio
person. If anyone can hear this on the podcast right now,
the train is
going by. By the way, I love your location. I drive by you all the time on the bypass. I'm going to see your building and your logo each time now. I love it. But yeah, the train just went by. So if you could hear that, that was awesome. Anyway.
So when I think of the team, and I'll go back to when I joined the team, I had moved here to the Tri-Cities in 2017 and was looking for a way to get involved in the community. I've always gravitated towards the first responder world, was looking at some different opportunities. And I remember seeing an advertisement by the team in early 2018 that they were looking for team members. I've always loved the water, love being out on the water, fishing. I lifeguarded in high school and in college. And I initially was interested, came and met with the team, and I didn't know anything about what you do. And you think, again, Columbia Basin Dive Rescue, you focus on the diving side, which is what we primarily focus on. But what I quickly found is it is such a unique, close-knit group of people that over the 8+ years that I've been on the team has become a second family, and is extremely invaluable, not just during those missions, but it's people that I know that I can go to in other areas of life that we can go to one another, and it's such a great community that we have here within our community at large. It is people that truly care about what they're doing. And again, I'll go back to, in a broader sense, our local Tri-Cities area. I think all of our different agencies, that describes them. And I can only speak directly to our agency. And I think maybe because we're smaller, we vary anywhere between 12 to 20 members maybe at a time that are actively out doing things. These are people that truly care about those that we're out there with. This is not something that we're getting paid to do. And we're not out there for a paycheck. We're not out there for the glory and the praise of it all. We're out there to provide help to our community. And the opportunities we have to stand alongside family members who are going through the most difficult day of their life.
Yes.
That exact scenario is not what we look forward to. We hope we never get called out, and that's why we love water education. If we can provide that education to help keep people from being in those scenarios, we love that. But if we are called out, we want to be there to help that family and to either rescue that individual that's missing or recover the person that is sadly deceased. And I think what I want our community to think of with us is that we are those that are wanting to stand alongside them in their darkest hour. And we hope, as you said at the beginning, we hope that we never have to see you in that scenario. But if we do, we want to be there to be alongside you.
I love that. Mark, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, from what I don't see the mission side of it, but I've done a number of school or community education outreaches and stuff. And just the water safety training, go into a 3rd grade class in an elementary school and stuff, and talk about life jackets. And we went up to one that really struck me, and I'm just sitting here thinking about it, it bothers me. But we went into a school and we were doing the water safety, talking about what we do and sonar and boats, but life jackets was a big part of the thing. So they put a life jacket on me and it's strapped down and it's tight, and showing the kids it's got to be sized correctly. It's got to be put on correctly.
Yeah.
And then we bring up this little, 2nd, 3rd grader and put the same life jacket on that's not now sized. And Ben grabbed the shoulders and lifted it right off him, right? So it's not going to do you any good to have a life jacket that's not correct. They're just trying to make the point that you got to have you got to have the equipment and you got to use it correctly. And I don't know if I can say this, but a little kid come up to Ben at the end of the thing and says, "We can't have life jackets because we have to pay the rent." Why does a 7-year-old know that his parents are struggling to pay the rent? That just, I don't get the shoreline thing, but that has stuck with me, is why does a 7-year-old worried about the rent?
Because you brought that up, we just had a recent conversation with Second Harvest in the Early Learning Center, and they have a food opportunity for families once a week there. And the whole purpose being, for a child to succeed, their family needs to succeed.
Yeah.
And the deeper understanding of that the stresses of the parents become a part of that child's nervous system, which I feel like that's what you're expressing as well. Yeah. And on one hand, what a beautiful thing that a family works together into things, and on the other, that's never a child's job to carry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I have nothing helpful to say about that, by the way. I just breaks your heart. Go ahead,
I think it's that exact scenario, though, is why when we have opportunities to hand out life jackets, to be able to work with different agencies, and there's at a lot of the boat docks. If you go there, you'll see life jackets hanging.
I've seen them; they're great,
and they're available for if you don't have a life jacket and you're out on or near the water and you need to grab it, go ahead and use it. If you can, put it back after you're done. But if you need one, they're there to be able to be utilized. We don't want them just to be hanging up.
Is that you guys that puts them out there?
We have assisted with that, but that's different agencies, the Corps of Engineers, different people that will actually provide them for that.
But
we
again,
help put them up there.
All of the organizations around a table talking, coordinating.
Exactly.
Awesome.
And there's
go for it.
in recent years too, Prosser Memorial Health has done a life jacket. It's a community event, but they give away a ton of life jackets, and we've gotten some excess that we've given away at our community events as well. It's neat to see whether health departments or agencies that are willing to do that and see the need for it, so that 7-year-old has access to that and they don't have to worry about the financial side of that, because how valuable is a life. And on an education side, life jackets is the thing that we push the most, because if you're wearing a life jacket, it is almost impossible, not impossible, but it's almost impossible to find yourself in a scenario where your life is at threat because of the water.
Is it still true that, I think it is, that they've never recovered a body with a life jacket
Correct.
on?
We have not as a team.
Yeah.
Yep.
50 years.
That's a good stat to know.
Yeah.
50 plus years.
Yeah.
Can we go to where you go into schools and train? What does that look like? Do the schools contact you? Do you reach out to schools? Hey, we're available.
We have.
What does that look like?
Yeah, we have. There's some recurring things. We go up to Mesa Elementary School every spring because there's a relationship there.
That's awesome. Don't you love relationships? I love it. Sorry. Go ahead.
And various schools. What is it? Summer Night Out or
National Night Out.
National Night Out is a big one.
I'm not sure what that is.
It's a day or an evening in August where they'll be at Flat Top Park and Benton City Park and Kennewick and Richland will each have where the fire department and the police and everybody.
Did not go there. I know what you're talking about now. Yep.
So we'll go to those and pass out literature and talk about life jackets and what we do and stuff like that. Have a boat, flashing lights, that attracts the kids.
That would attract me.
But some of those relationships with the schools and these recurring things, like with the Prosser Memorial, if they're passing out life jackets, having somebody from the dive rescue there talking about it and passing them out, just gives that added, connection maybe.
I love it.
And but there's a couple recurring ones every now and then. Something new pops up, and we'll put together. And it's 2 or 3 people with a truck is what it involves, and it's middle of the day sometime if it's a school. So so our audience or our participation from the group is a little bit limited because these guys work. So
yeah, and I think being able to go into those schools and have those community events, we're wanting to interface with everybody, right? And I think hitting adults, because they're the ones that are going to be able to put into action right away. But I really love those connections with the kids, because if we can build some level of connection and relationship, law enforcement and fire departments emphasize this as well. If we can build those relationships in that controlled setting, when there is the scenario where it's a loved one, a friend is out in the water for us, and it has gone under the surface, and we have already made a connection to some degree with that person out in the community, they're much more willing to talk to us and to give us the help that their friend or family member needs. And it's not like we're some strange entity that's coming at them. We already have been able to connect. Exactly. Because in those high stress moments, everyone struggles to communicate and to talk. We find that kids are the ones that we prefer to talk to in those moments because they're the most honest. They're not trying to hold anything back. Psychologically, as adults, we like to kind of, whether we want to help or not, sometimes
filter.
Exactly. We put a filter on things, exactly what Mark said. And so kids are the ones that we love to talk to at that point, but they're not always willing, and we're not going to push that. But if they've had some connection with us, they've seen us at a community event, we've come to their school, we've seen before where they want to come and talk to us right away. And that just gives us the opportunity to help whoever that is out there in the water quicker.
And we're back to building relationships. Yep. That's amazing.
Yes.
A few times you've brought up the emotional side of things, and rightly so. How does that affect you guys?
One of the reasons that I initially wanted to join the team in my day job, my full-time job, getting to work at a church, I work with people all the time. I have a counseling degree. I love being able to help people through issues in their life and provide support to them. And one of the things that I was really burdened about was helping our local first responders in a general way. But being able to be on this team has given me the opportunity to directly help and also see how I've needed help at times too. One of the downsides to the infrequency of the calls that we have is that it doesn't happen enough to where we see these things frequently enough that we're really good at processing, I would say. You have a fire department, a firefighter or a police officer, they're seeing multiple things per shift. And the good thing about that, but the thing that helps them is that they're able to process better if they're focusing on that. The downside is that they have so much more that they're storing up. And so you see a lot higher rate of issues later on if they're not processing it correctly. One of the things
that totally makes sense to me.
It's something that there's a upside and a downside to everything, right? But with our team, because it's so infrequent, we really try to make sure that we're there for each other, and have over the last several years set up a system to where we're checking in with one another after a call. The nature of what would be known as a critical incident stress scenario is that there's a critical incident, all of us have stress reactions. And we have to be honest about what those are and identify what ours uniquely are for us as individuals. But on a team setting, we get to know each other, and we get to see the things that we each maybe have a hard time with. 5 of us might go on a call, and 4 of us might have zero stress reaction from it. Like it's just another call, and 1 of us might be having severe stress reaction that we don't want to tell anybody about. We want to build that sense of opportunity to come and talk to each other about that. And it's not like we're sitting on a couch and expressing all of our feelings to one another, but we know we can reach out. Hey, could you just come spend some time with me, or can we talk through this scenario? And there's different resources that we have in place to be able to do that, to help us process, so that it doesn't have that build up over time. Because I think in 8 years that I've done this, if I were to not have gone through the process of dealing with each mission that I've gone through, I would have a huge stack of things that I'm still trying to process that could be detrimental to myself, my family, to the team, to people that I'm around. But if you go through the right process, it's not like things don't affect you. They do.
Because we're human.
Exactly, and it should. It should. If you go through and see some of the things that we see on our team, that other first responders see, and it doesn't bother you, there's other issues.
Yeah. We're worried about other things at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It does bother us. It's how do we deal with that, and how do we continue to move forward?
Mark, do you feel the same way when you don't go out on these?
Well,
missions?
mine is more a secondary exposure, I guess. What I mean is,
because you love this team,
they'll be talking about it every month. We have a meeting in this room at this table and go through every mission. And if it's one of the really high intensity ones, they spend some time on it talking about some of the things that Caleb just mentioned. So I get it from that secondary exposure, and also because my son does the same role that Caleb fulfills on some of these missions.
Does your dad heart kick in?
I get it that way as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's different, but I've seen it, and it's like Caleb said, you got to deal with it because at every level, firefighter, police, dive rescue, it happens. It's just what you do with it.
This is a great time for me to ask you if you're comfortable talking about your sonar system, because it came out of a really high intense, high emotional experience. Yeah. Would you mind sharing that, or
sure,
both, between the two of you share that?
It was May of 2018, Memorial Day weekend. Some soon-to-be Hanford High graduates were swimming off the Trestle Bridge in the Yakima River by 2:40, and one of the young men went in and didn't come out. And there was a reasonably high flow area, no visibility. The team was there and I wasn't part of the team at that point. It's a year before I joined. But my son was one of the duty officers that were rotating down there every day, down there looking for this body. And as time goes on and the current, it could still be right at the trestle, tangled up in something, or it could be quarter mile, half mile downriver.
Right.
So it got worse and worse, and finally they did find him 3, 4, 5 days later. Now, the emotional stress on the family was unimaginable, but the team took a pretty good hit. And one of the things that came out of that was start looking at different ways to do the search. And the side scan sonar, was the tool that we needed and we didn't have. And my son, because he's an electronics geeky kind of guy,
he's going to hear that you said that.
That's all right. That's all right. He's got thick skin. I know his dad. He said that kind of stuff before.
He's been trained.
He found this, and we talked about earlier, the fundraisers, the community fundraisers started through Facebook and GoFundMe and various things. I forget exactly what it cost, but it was in the $30,000-$40,000 range once you get the equipment and the electronics, the computers, and the training and everything.
Oh, rightly so, yeah.
So it's not just one piece of equipment; it's a whole system. And but Phil ran that point on that whole thing and got the equipment. And it's been very, very successful. We have half a dozen people trained on various aspects of it now that can deploy it. And so it's been very, very successful. And it's been able to take that horrendous 5 days and in many cases get it down to a number of hours for recovery. And at least in some cases, a half hour once we get on scene to find somebody. So
and while it can't take away what happened, it brings comfort so much faster.
Right. There's that closure to know that they found the body and it's coming up. And you're right. You can't remove the pain of the body bag showing up on the boat coming in, but you know it's there. You know, it's not.
No, that's a big deal, though.
Yeah, yeah. And out of that, and this is the thing that people beat up Phil and I about on the team, was we got the sonar, and we had a boat that we were using it in, but the boat was inadequate for now the number of people it took to operate the sonar. And so we started a boat campaign, and we ended up raising funds and buying a $250,000 boat.
I just saw it. It's gorgeous.
To deploy it, and it was community support, some state support, and but it was pulling all that together to deploy this thing. And now, when they get a call for a recovery, and the water's right. I mean, if it's a little lake up in the potholes, we can't really use it, you know, because you can't get the boat in there. You can't, you know. But if it's on the river, and if we can get to it, it's a dynamite tool to ease that the time period anyway. The pain is there, but the pain's going to be there. It just shortens it.
Caleb, do you want to add anything?
I just think, as Mark said, the reality of this tool that has saved us so many man hours and as a team, but also the family as well. The basis of what we do, without going into too much detail, when we're going to do a recovery, our goal is to be able to recover that body in as short a time as possible to bring closure to the family. As Mark said, it doesn't ease the fact that the loved one has passed away, but if you're not able to have that closure, there is always that question in your mind of the what ifs, and is that, and we're able to bring that to start that process a lot sooner. If we are not able to recover eventually, that in most scenarios, the body will be recovered after it comes up after a couple days. But with the nature of our rivers, it will probably not be in the same location, and it could be a long time after. We had a recovery a couple years ago where it was under a bridge. We did our best to be able to recover. We were not able to through different circumstances we were facing, and it was a few months after that before that person was actually recovered, and that's a long time for the family.
That's a long time.
A tool like the sonar gives us the opportunity, if we're able to utilize it, to really shorten that time significantly. And again, it helps the family with that closure time, but also us as the team. Instead of having divers out trying to shrink the search area if we don't know how big it is, we're able to use this to start and then deploy divers. And as Mark was saying, in 2018 with Dimitri, we were able to see the need for it and then deploy it in 2019. And we had just had Phil and one other guy that went out to get trained on this in Virginia, had been back for a week. And the first mission after we were technically fully capable of doing it, we hadn't done any more trainings as a team yet.
Sure.
We had a call for two boaters down in Umatilla that had fallen off the back of a boat. And this is the exact scenario why we got this, because it was within a mile and a half stretch of river, and they weren't exactly sure where they went off. And so in a normal scenario, we would have had a huge amount of space. Yeah, and deploying divers, we would have deployed divers to the best of our ability, but that's a massive stretch of water. We were able to take the sonar, and over the course of the next day, go out and do searches, narrow it down, and eventually locate them with the sonar, drop the divers immediately down on top of them, recovered them, and brought them up. And the divers were in the water for minutes, whereas that would have been hours for our divers, and we're able to bring the closure to the family.
And the divers are safer.
Absolutely,
doing it that way. I love that aspect.
And that's our number one concern as a team, is our team safety. We want to accomplish our mission.
For sure.
But in no way do we ever want to compromise the safety of our team. It does not mean we don't do risky things. The diving in these waters is extremely risky. This is not some diving down to Florida Caribbean dive where you can see for miles under the water.
That's okay. I don't want to do that either.
This, in many scenarios, we dive in what's called black water. And so what maybe a lot of people aren't aware of is our divers wear a full face mask, right? But a lot of times if you put your hand in front of your face, they're not able to see that. And so it's all feel based. And so you're down under the surface looking for an individual, looking for something you're feeling. And so this is something that is not a quick process. This takes time. And the way that we go about it, we're very coordinated. We're making sure that we're giving it as high probability as possible that we have searched that area. But it's a very slow process, and it's sometimes days or weeks. The sonar gives us the ability to really shrink that time down significantly.
I'm better appreciating now also what you said, that because of the sonar, the divers just went straight down and found him and up. That's amazing.
It is.
Oh my goodness. Such a good conversation, you guys. I'm going over my list. Sorry, I'm thinking about Dimitri now and his family. Is there anything we haven't talked about yet that you would like to?
I think for me, when we talk about the water education, one of the messages that we try to get out to people is that educating them about being around water. All of us are around water here in the Tri-Cities and the
super lucky.
Exactly. And in the state of Washington as a whole, I mean, we have a lot of access to water, which is excellent. Lucky. But the Tri-Cities, we're here because of the confluence of the three rivers, right? I mean, this is why Hanford is here. This is everything. The water is needed, and it's why we have continued to be sustained and grown, because it is a beautiful place. If we have the access to the water, we have access to irrigation. This is a gorgeous area. And there's a lot of really great opportunities. You think of fishing, of boating, of swimming, all these things are great, but it's also extremely dangerous. One of the things that we uniquely face is the wide spread between our summer temperatures that regularly get up into the hundreds and the water temperature, specifically from the Columbia, that does not go above 70 degrees normally. Sometimes we might, in a really extended stretch of hot weather, it might get up into the lower 70s. That's
when the fish want to leave too.
Exactly, and that's a big thing. The fish don't want it that warm either. Yeah. And so when you think, let's say the water gets up to 70 and it's 100 degrees, that's a 30-degree difference. And what happens when you go into the water in that scenario, whether you're planning to or not, is that you have a response. Your body involuntarily has a gasp reflex. And so if you fall into cold water, if for those that love to do a cold plunge, or we have one of the main events that we do every year is the polar plunge. And so people of their own will and volition pay money to go jump into freezing cold water in January, February.
That's a different podcast conversation.
And it is for an amazing cause. And so I'm so thankful that people do that. But it is extremely cold, and what we see, because we're there for that to provide safety resources.
Very cool. Good to know.
We're always there. It's a great opportunity again to interface with the community. But there's an involuntary reflex where you gasp in, and the problem is when you do that, because of the cold temperature, you do that when you've just gone into water, you suck in water immediately. And what that does is that speeds up that process. You're immediately drowning, because as soon as you get that water into your lungs, you've begun the drowning process. And we try to emphasize this a lot, that drowning is not like you see it on television or in movies,
to where
it looks like somebody splashing in the water and it's loud and you see them a long ways off and like, hey, that person's drowning. The majority of the time, it is extremely silent and invisible, meaning that person has started to drown and disappears. There might be a struggle, and sometimes there is, to where you can see them for a little bit, but a lot of times that person's just gone. And the problem that people are not aware of is that, especially with the cold water, which we have year-round, that gasp reflex is what speeds that up and turns it silent. Because you think physiologically, you suck in a bunch of water, there's no screaming. You're not screaming for help because your lungs are filling with water. And the best way to be able to prevent that from the beginning, again, we're gonna hammer on life jackets all the time, but it's just going in with a plan. And this this falls on adults, specifically with kids, but for us as adults too. It may not look cool to wear a life jacket. It may not be the most fun thing. They're not comfortable. They're getting better these days. They're not comfortable, but it literally, it's called a life jacket for a reason, literally can and will save your life.
And if it's worn properly, it's not comfortable.
Exactly.
If they're tight.
Exactly.
It's gotta be tight.
It is tight. It surprises me every time.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's especially when it's hot out. It's you get really really hot and sweaty. We've been on all-day missions where we're in our life jackets, and it's you're soaking with sweat, you're soaking with water. It's not fun. However, it will save your life. And what is good to remember is you're going on or near the water, having some sort of life jacket or life preserver, something that you can have there. And if you're going to go out on the river specifically, be aware of the dangers of the river. There is not just strong currents that we see, both on the Columbia, the Yakima, the Snake, all have regularly fairly good currents. You have those currents, but also what's below the surface. There's a lot of obstructions, there's a lot of debris in the water that you might think with your swimming pool, you can be swimming around no problem whatsoever. You don't know what's right under the surface that you could get stuck and tangled in that could cause a hazard for you. And have a plan going in, be aware of those dangers. Another thing that we like to talk about a lot is that what might look like the main current, when you get along the shore, that current can be different. Case in point, what we talk about a lot is one of the more popular areas in the Tri-Cities is at Howard Ammon Park. There used to be a swim dock right there, and you look out at the river and you see the current just cruising by, very fast flow all the year. It's a beautiful area. I love to walk and run and cycle there with my family.
For sure.
But what you don't notice is that right next to shore in several places is what's known as an eddy. So it's actually a backflow. And so instead of the current going downriver, it's actually coming upriver. It doesn't make sense, but it's the way that the riverbed and the shoreline works. You actually have a current coming back the other direction. And so being aware of those dangers that are out there, that if I'm going to float this way, actually you're going to come back the other direction, could cause significant dangers to you. Just making sure you're always with somebody else. Swimming alone is extremely risky. Going out on the water alone is very risky. Having those life jackets. If there is an emergency scenario that comes up, the first thing that you need to do is call 911 because that puts resources headed your direction that are able and equipped and trained to perform life-saving procedures. It gets them there that much quicker.
Great recommendation to make sure you have your phone with you.
100%. Yeah. If you
on whatever
have some form
on.
of communication to reach out to people, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that is another concern is if you see somebody that is drowning, that is struggling, that has disappeared, one of our first instinctive reactions as humans is to help. And that's a good thing, right? But what we see a lot and across the nation, around the world, is that a lot of times there are scenarios where somebody is drowning or struggling and somebody else goes to help them. And it's that second person that is the one that ends up drowning. And for various reasons. Time and time again, I know countless stories of dads or moms that go out to save a child and they're able to get the child in, but they're not able to come back in either. As a dad myself, I wouldn't question. I don't question their decision at all.
Oh, no,
right?
no.
I would do the exact same thing. I'm going to sacrifice. If one of us is going to not make it out of the scenario, it's going to be me.
I totally follow that.
But you also have to think, if this is a friend, if this is a family member, are you capable of saving them? Is the scenario right to do that? You have to make that decision and be aware of it because you're also putting yourself at risk. And if you decide to do that, that is your call. But the problem that many people don't even think about that. Just, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to help that person. If somebody is drowning and they're still above the surface, there is a survival instinct that kicks in that a lot of times can lead to multiple people not making it out of that scenario. So make sure you're informed, make sure you're trained. I encourage everybody to get swim lessons, to go through the learning of how to be able to swim. That just increases your chances significantly in those scenarios.
Do you know, one of the questions I always ask at the end of these, or at least I try to, is how can whatever nonprofit we're talking to, how can we as the community connect with you? How can we in the community help you? And after this conversation, one of the ways we help is to listen to you and to educate ourselves and to follow your recommendations. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah.
And is there anything else we can do to support you guys?
One of the things that we don't say around here in the summertime is it's been a quiet week.
You don't say that word.
You don't say that.
You just like to keep your head down and walk fast. Is that what you're saying?
And Mark, in saying that, was speaking hypothetically. He wasn't actually using that word.
I wasn't saying that. Because realistically,
doesn't count.
No.
if people are paying attention, and if people have listened or know that they ought to be wearing a life jacket every time they get near the water, everybody, these guys get to spend a July weekend at home with their families. And On some July weekends, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Different calls, maybe all the same call. But that's how the community can help, is pay attention, and you can edit this out later, but don't be stupid.
I can't promise I'm going to edit it out.
Going after your kid.
It's honest.
Going after your kid, it's a parent's reaction, you're going to do it. I can remember once up at Leslie Grove Park, my oldest boy was out on a raft, and the only consequence I had from it is I lost my glasses because I dove in. Okay? But it was exactly what you just described. I wasn't thinking, he was out there and I thought I could help. I lost a pair of glasses. But that, you can't stress that enough, is the water is fun, it's cool, but it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Respect it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having this conversation with us. The service you give our community on a volunteer level is huge, and we just really, really appreciate it. It's a kind of service that often goes unseen, but it's never unneeded. We appreciate you. It reminds us that there are people in our community willing to go where others can't, to serve in ways that most of us are unable. Thank you so much, Caleb and Mark, for serving our communities and families. We love you for it. Thank you for joining us in this conversation. It's been really interesting for me. For anyone wanting to support the Columbia Basin Dive Rescue, or questions or whatever, I'm not even sure, but whatever, we encourage you to go to their website. It's www.cbdr.org. And for anyone looking for ways here or anywhere in our community to serve just as these good men are, please join us at justserve.org and find a way to volunteer. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.